So we're just about to go in and see Hercules at the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane. We've come up from Victoria, but we went to sort of Embankment and then just walked up and went along the Strand, which was nice and easy. So we will let you know what it's like when we come out. I had mixed reviews from it, so we'll see how it goes. Hey everybody, so back from London, had a shower. It was very, very hot on that train on the way back, and we seemed to pick the only carriage that had no air conditioning, of course. So, Hercules. Right, let's talk about Hercules, which we went to see this afternoon at the Theatre Royal on Drury Lane. I was really looking forward to going and seeing this. I love Theatre Royal as a theatre. I think it's got, you know, great sight lines from lots of different places. Seats are comfortable. There's a good amount of leg room. You don't feel squashed in. So obviously it used to be where Frozen is. So people might be familiar with it for that reason. So, you know, I always enjoy going there. Lots of toilets. It's nice and simple and easy to get to. We actually came from Victoria, so we had already been over to Shrek Adventure, and then we walked over the bridge down by the South Bank Centre, walked along the Strand, and then just straight up. So it was quick to do. It only takes you kind of like about 10 minutes from there if you're walking fast and you haven't got little children with you. And it means you avoid all of the tubes and having to go into kind of Leicester Square and all this sort of stuff. So that was nice and easy for us. So the show itself, okay, I might be a little bit controversial on this one. It was good. It was a good show. Was it the best show I've seen? No, probably not. I mean, it's very new. It's very new. So it only opened last month. And I think it shows a bit. There are some things in it that just don't quite work yet. I'm sure in probably about 6 months' time, there might be some corrections to different things, and it might have settled a little bit. But let's talk about some of the positives first of all. Some of the things that I really liked about it. I thought the muses, the 5 muses that you had in it, I thought they were stunning, absolutely stunning. I think they held the show, to be quite honest. I think they kept the whole thing going, and the energy that they had was amazing. You know, they really were captivating to watch. They had so many costume changes. I mean, some of their costume changes were nuts quick. You know, fair play to them, and they were still on, and they just sang their hearts out, and the harmonies were so great. They had all the characterization down. I really liked the way they played with different pillars that raised up and down from the sort of centre of the stage. So that was really good to see. It gave some height and levels to them. It made them feel like these kind of, well, these jars that are on pedestals kind of thing, or statues on pedestals. And I mean, it was a massive cheer when they actually came onto the stage, and everyone was very excited to kind of see them. So, I mean, they were fantastic. They really were amazing all the way through. I looked forward to them being on the stage, and at the very end, I think they probably had the biggest cheer as well. So then you go on to Hades. So, you know, Hades was very good, very kind of over the top. It felt very pantomime-esque. And I think this is probably my thing with the whole of the show. But again, I'll come on to that in a minute. So, you know, he was very good. He had this very big over-the-top character, you know, used his hands and arms and everything really, really well. Really good sort of comedy in there, comedic timing, although I would have preferred his character to have a slightly more dry, sort of ironic or sarcastic kind of sense of humour because of the character that he is, whereas it didn't come across quite like that. And then you had his two sidekicks, which the names have actually been changed, who, again, you know, they were very good. They had very good comedic timing. They worked well together as a pair. You know, they were fun to watch, fun characters in the part. You had Phil, who, again, he was very good, but I just thought actually could have played his role a bit bigger, made it a little bit bigger. It felt a little bit laid back, which actually is a comment I'd say about the whole thing, that there were, other than the muses and probably Hades with his kind of over-the-top acting, everything kind of actually felt a little bit laid back. Meg, I thought she was very good. She was very droll in her delivery, and it worked for her particular character. So I thought she was very good. Lovely singer, really lovely voice. And then you had Luke Brady, obviously, who's playing Hercules. And look, he's got a lovely voice. He has got a lovely voice. And he sang Go the Distance beautifully. That was really, really nice. But again, his character, I think, he was quite laid back. So even when he was doing dance moves and things, it almost felt like he was marking it. And I was wanting him to kind of like go full out and kind of go, come on guys, match the energy of the muses around you, because you're being a little bit laid back, a little bit suave. But actually it made me not like the character of Hercules, because I just thought that he was a little bit full of himself. Kind of wanted Hades to take him to the underworld, and I don't think that was the point of the musical, really. So yeah, I just think he came across as kind of almost too full of himself, and yeah, you know, not that kind of innocent wanting to get something, wanting to strive. And when he's making a sacrifice for Meg, you know, you kind of go, would he really make the sacrifice? I think he liked himself too much. I'm quite surprised he didn't actually go up to Olympia with Zeus and Hera rather. So, but that's a whole other story. So yeah, he was good, but for me, just too laid back. And I think that's the same with all the choreography. I could see what they were trying to do. They were trying to have a kind of Greek feel to it, but also very kind of urban feel to the dancing. But it just didn't quite work. It was almost like it was trying to be, if you've seen Sister Act 2 and you see the choir at the end when they're singing Joyful, Joyful, that kind of energy, I think it should have been more like that, and it wasn't. It felt like it was trying to be like that, but it was just a little bit laid back and quirky. So I wasn't a massive fan of the choreography. I think there were a few teething problems, I think, with things like the souls, where they're trying to do this effect, and it's actually, the effect wasn't working. They were trying to do it with material and things, and it wasn't working, and the material kept going in the wrong places, and then cast members were having to pick up the material and take it off stage with them, or chuck it back into the circle in the middle, and you kind of go, well, that's just kind of ruined that illusion. So I think they actually probably would have been better is if with the lighting they'd maybe used some haze or something, and they'd actually projected. I think that would have been much more effective, you know, if they'd looked at, I don't know, taken some ideas from things like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, who use effects amazingly. I think they could have done more like that. So that's a bit I think they do need to sort out, because it just doesn't work. I can see what they're trying to do, and it could look really good, but it really doesn't look good at all. Really doesn't. And then also they've got all these slapstick sound effects for when he's hitting things or punching things, and sometimes they don't quite match up. And again, it feels like a panto, or, you know, rocks are falling down when nothing had hit them. And I was kind of like, oh, the timing is just a little bit out. lifting, when he's lifting bits of scenery, but it comes down and it's wobbling, and then you just kind of go, well, that just looks a little bit amateuresque. It doesn't feel West End. That doesn't look West End, which is a shame, because they've actually done so much with the set and props, and all of the ideas are there. They're just not quite working. They're just not quite working. So those are those kind of elements. I think the costumes are fabulous. Costumes really are really lovely and great to look at. And like I said, the muses, they change costumes so many times. I mean, their outfits are great. They're phenomenal. I really enjoyed watching this. I'd love it if they got an award, actually. So costumes, marvellous. The conductor was having a great time. He was bopping away at the bottom there, and which was great to see, actually. It was really nice that he was so into it, and that was great. But yeah, it felt a bit like a pantomime. It felt a little bit too laid back in some ways. I wanted the energy of like 42nd Street. They've got a tap dancing number in there, but do you know what? If you're going to do tap dancing, then do it so it's really something to look at, particularly when one of the last shows in that theatre was 42nd Street. I just think they could have done much more, but also I don't really get why they had tap dancing at that point. It didn't really make that much sense to me. Also, they had puppetry that they were using in it, and again, it felt like a pantomime, felt like a pantomime horse kind of thing. It wasn't. Yeah, it just didn't do it for me. But then I'm probably not their target audience, if we're completely honest about this. They had some great bits where they used slow motion, and it worked really well. They had some other bits where they're using slow motion, and it didn't work very well. So, yeah. Anyway, what I would say is, if you've got young children and they're probably the ages that would really enjoy things like Frozen, or they enjoyed going to see Frozen, then I think they will love this. I think, regardless, I think they will love this. Because it is good fun, and that there was a little girl next to us who was dancing away and really enjoying herself and kind of mimicking the muses, and which was very sweet. And so there were a lot of younger children in the audience, so I think for that sort of age group, I think they would really get it, and they would like it, and they probably wouldn't see the other things. I think a lot of the jokes would also go over their heads, because as with pantomime, there were kind of a lot of innuendos and stuff like that within the piece that they wouldn't have got, but obviously all the adults did get. If you've got older kids, I'd maybe hold off on going, just because I still think that there'll probably be some things that they might need to look at and change. But I actually think there are probably better things that you could take them to in the West End. Let's face it, it's not cheap going to the West End. It's an expensive day out, and so personally, with older kids, I would maybe take them to something slightly different. Could be a different story in 6 months' time. I'd like to see that they would maybe change some of the bits and pieces, not just because I'm saying it, because I mean, really, who am I? Other than Mrs. Spires Presents, who am I? But yeah, I just looked at it, and looking at it from the point of view of putting on shows, and you kind of get a bit of a feeling for them. It just wasn't really sitting as well as it should be, I think, for a very big new West End show. Sorry if that's upset people. It's still great to watch. It's still fun to watch. And like I said, the muses are worthwhile going to see, because they are fantastic. And a very good example of a Greek chorus. I'm just going to say that now. I use it as an example in my teaching, because there are lots of elements that are very Greek chorus-like. Funny that, because it's set in Greece. Anyway, so if you've been to see it, let me know what your thoughts are below. I'd love to hear people that have really enjoyed it. It could just be me being overcritical. But yeah, I still think there's a little bit of settling in to do for this particular musical, so it might be worth holding off and seeing how it lands. But like I said, I think it's always going to be popular with younger kids because they won't see all of that. They'll enjoy it all. Anyway, like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to do another video as well about Shrek's Adventure, which we went to go and see today too, but I won't put that on this video. As always, if you like hearing my reviews, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.